Welcome to the Hemlock State Explorer. Today we're at World's End State Park, and I wanted to share with you some tips to help you find the perfect camping spot for your stay here. We just passed the entrance and there's a little shack for the park rangers. You can check in there, but as with most state parks, if you have a reservation already, you just need to stop and read the sign and then proceed to your campground. So here's site 1. Loop A is sites number 1 to 43. The campground is arranged in 2 loops, a lower loop A and an upper loop B. We'll be at loop A first. So as you can see, up ahead there's a hill to the side. That's loop B. Down here we're at loop A. Loop A has all the electric sites. Loop B is non-electric. It's a nice stand of hemlocks and pines. Black cherry. Nice shady spot. So in Loop A, we see the campers. They're packed a bit more closely down here. The campground host. World's End State Park is located in Sullivan County, Pennsylvania, and they don't have the spotted lanternfly up here, so they ask that you do not bring firewood from infested areas, but fortunately, as you can see here, they have a firewood stand and it's fairly reasonably priced. One of these bundles is $8. So it looks like some pretty good quality wood. It's all hardwood. So you're not supposed to bring your firewood here, but fortunately they do provide firewood at a somewhat reasonable cost. Of course, on the way up, you can probably find many individuals selling firewood on their properties. It's a little bit weedy at these sites at the bottom of the hill, and I don't prefer having the power lines above my head. Doesn't have the woodsy feel, but the campsites overall are pretty decent down here. I would prefer one of these campsites that are more shaded. So to our right, just for point of reference, is the hill up to loop B. To our left is the A loop, and on the other side of this A loop, which will be turning the corner shortly, it's pretty close to the main road. So if you want power, you'll need to stay on the A loop. One of these sites on the right leg of the A loop would probably be preferable, because as you just heard, a car went by. So the sites on the other side of the A loop are close to that road. I just wouldn't want to be camping close to a road with cars moving by that quickly. Doesn't really feel like camping to me. We've just turned the corner of the A loop to the side nearest the main road, Route 154, and I just want to show you how close this is to the road. Right, so here's the loop and here's the road, but a positive is you are just feet from the Loyalsock Creek across the road. So we're walking across the road from the campground to the Loyalsock Creek. We'll just turn aside briefly because this is just so beautiful, so peaceful. I love the sound of the water. I love the sound of the rocks. We've seen some people wading in here. We've seen some people fly fishing. You can take a dip in the deeper sections. I just really like how rocky it is. I like the smooth boulders along the side, along the bank. Another thing to note is you can hear the Loyalsock from pretty much everywhere in the campground. Sleeping in the tent last night, it was so refreshing and relaxing to lay back in the dark and listen to the Loyalsock Creek, the water running, even from the sites furthest away up in the campground. That's a bonus for staying here. Really hard to say too many good things about World's End State Park. So let's leave the Loyalsock for now and head back up into the campground and check out the rest of the campsites. So hopefully you can watch this video and choose the site that is right for you. We're back from our brief excursion across the street to the Loyalsock Creek, which you can hear in the background. And we're on the westernmost leg of the A loop, which is the loop at the bottom of the hill that has full electric. Most of the sites have decent shade, a nice canopy above them, and decent spacing. These sites are a little close and open in between, but most sites have decent spacing between them. After that little dip, we're ascending to the beginning of the A loop. I like this section underneath the pine stand, but as you can see, the sites are pretty close together. I also like, what is this, 21? We're on top of a elevated section, but just beyond that picnic table is the road. So still a little too close to the road for my preferences. Also, as you can see next to the bathhouse, there's ice, which is very convenient. I'm sure it's probably not the best price you could get for it, but it does save you a trip to the store. And the stores here are not close. What is it? $3.50 for a small bag, $6 for a large bag. A small bag, 7 pounds. Large bag, doesn't say, looks to be about 20 pounds. As with most Pennsylvania state parks, they have a very high standard for cleanliness and maintenance, and World's End is no exception. The bathhouses were very nice inside. Here's a section that says free firewood. So, as with all state parks, chainsaws are not prohibited, but if you have an axe or a maul or a wedge and sledgehammer, you can split this. Unfortunately, this looks to be mostly pine here, but in case you're inclined to do so, you can split your own wood from those fairly girthful logs. Okay, I like this section too. There's some nice shade from the pine and hemlock stand, but again, sites are a bit closer and open to each other than I would like. But this would be a great section if you were camping with a group of people and could spread out across the sites. Also, something to note is each site has a tent pad that has freshly laid wood chips. That's a really nice perk. I think I've never slept on such a soft and level tent pad as I have here. So they were ready for the camping season. Good job, World's End State Park maintenance. We're back at the beginning of the A loop. You can see the guard shack or ranger shack and the overflow parking just ahead of us. So let's pause and move up to the B loop. The B loop is sites 44 to 70, and they're on a loop above the A loop. The B loop sites do not have electricity, but they tend to be more woodsy, more rustic, have a little bit better coverage, not quite as close together as the A loop. We'll be heading to our left to see the campsites. To the right is a road to the playground. There aren't any sites there. It just cuts between the A and the B loop. But we'll go take a turn around the playground later on. But here's the B loop. We're on the northwestern leg of the B loop, which is closest to the road, although it's a bit of an elevation above it. We're going to turn the curve here, which goes to the other leg of the loop up the side of the gorge. And as you can see, it's a bit more wooded. Pathway to the B loop bathhouse. Each loop has its own bathhouse. They're relatively small, but like most state parks, very well maintained and clean. You can still see the road to our left. So if you choose to camp on one of the sites nearest the road, that gives you a good indication of what you're in for. Conversely, you can actually see the Loyalsock. So you can be close to the road, but then you're also close to the Loyalsock. Maybe if you like fishing or have kids that want to play in the water, it'll be a shorter walk for you. Here's walk-in sites. Numbers 58, 59, 60, and 61. Turning the curve, going uphill. As the state park campground is really just these two loops. This is my personal favorite section of the campground for tent camping, on account of being a little bit more wooded. Sites are spaced out more. A nice canopy. That really is beautiful. Here's some more walk-in sites. Here's 65. 66. That looks like a really cool site, but you'll be carrying all your gear up those steps. And as you can see on the eastern leg of the loop, you're up against the hill, the side of the gorge. There's the bathhouse. So from up here, in certain spots like this campsite, you can see the other side, the other leg of the B loop. Here's the path that we saw below that leads up to the bathhouse. The Loop B bathhouse. So just beyond this site, you can see through the trees the playground. We'll take a turn down there. There's the bathhouse. This site here, 68, is immediately next to the bathhouse. Not shaded, probably would not be my first choice. I do like the sights in along this section on account of the spacing and the canopy. And being on the end of the loop, the portion of the loop farthest away from the rest of the campground, it is a bit more secluded. Wow, and look at these sites. These sites are right up against the side of the gorge. They're rocky, pretty secluded. What is that? Site 69, 54, 70. Looks like there's a rock terrace up on site 70. It's not occupied at the moment. Let's take a look at this one. Wow, it's small. I guess it's as far as workable space goes, but it is really cool. There's the tent pad and a little retaining wall, and then this is the view you would be getting up to in the morning. Cool. Huge black cherry. All right, and that is actually the end of the campsites. We'll just turn the curve so you can see the playground and a field. There were some teens playing bocce ball in the field last night. Looks like some folks at the playground right now. The hillside, or rather the sides of the mountain up above us, all around, since we're down in the gorge. This is, in one man's humble opinion, an exceptional state park. The facilities and the campground are nice in and of themselves. They're not the most secluded that I've seen in state parks, but the things to do around World's End are nearly endless. There's scenic views. Because we're down in a gorge, just about every stream then running down the sides of the gorge is a waterfall at some point. Tons of hiking trails to explore. You have the beautiful Loyalsock Creek. There are sites to see you can hike into. And then there are also things like the rock garden, the canyon overlook, or the gorge overlook rather, and other places, scenic views that you can actually drive to. So whether you want to experience the natural beauty and see the sights via a car ride and a quick walk from the parking lot, or whether you want to hardcore hike the thousands of acres of Loyalsock State Forest, or anything in between, the area around World's End State Park has something for you. There's even a beautiful day use area with a small beach and a cliffs area. There's also cabins in other sections of the state park outside of this family campground that we'll show you also. We're at the World's End State Park day use area, and as you can see, we're in a grove with very well maintained pavilion and picnic facilities. Just beyond is the Loyalsock. You can hear it in the distance. And we're opening up onto a bouldery, pebbly beach with cliffs in the background. We just had some rain, so the Loyalsock is flowing vigorously. Let me pan and give you a view of the cliffs and the stream flowing in the background. I'm going to zoom out just so you can get an idea of the height of the cliffs. Let's go take a look at the Loyalsock flowing. This is tremendous. I love the boulders out in the stream. I love this bouldery, pebbly beach. Rocks of various shapes and sizes, striations and designs running through. Let's go out on that rock and get a view of the creek. Facing upstream, cliffs in the background. We'll turn downstream. As if you needed one more reason to visit World's End State Park, here it is.